Okay, so today I'm going to do a quick talk about three-point lighting. Now, what is three-point lighting? It's a way of lighting a subject, whether it be a person or a little mannequin in this case, or even a 3D model in a program like Maya or anything like that. So I do my animation in my bedroom, and the biggest source of light is through the window. Unfortunately, my subject's not facing towards the light, so what we get to get exposure on our character here is we get a lovely great big white background, which isn't very good. So I close my blinds. Ideally you'd want to black them out to let no light in, but haven't got around to that yet, so I'm just going to close the blinds. So with the result of that, hopefully we get a black set. Unfortunately, a little bit of light spills in through my blinds because I don't have very thick ones. But we want to start off with essentially a blank canvas to do our lighting with. Now, three-point lighting, as it involves three lights. It's pretty obvious, but most people won't get that. Just to act as a comparison, this is what my bedroom light does for this lighting here. Not a whole lot. And the reason why it's still dark is because I've played about with the f-stop and the shutter speed, which you have to set to manual. In fact, all your camera settings to manual, which stops something happening, which I'll show you in a minute. But let's go back to three-point lighting. So let's switch that main light off, so then we go back to just a blank canvas. So the first thing we want to do is our key light. Now our key light, as its name entails, gives us our main light source. In this case, it's just a desk lamp with a 100-watt bulb and a little diffuser on it, just to soften the image. So we've got our key light now. So what we need to do now, since we've got a quite sharp, it's quite contrasty between these two levels, let's add in a fill light, which sits on the other side. You'll notice the shadows going from right to left here. So we want to have a light going in across there, left to right. And that's pretty good, but we do lose a bit of the contrast. So I put a little diffuser over. Now, a diffuser can be anything. It can be essentially a light bounced off a white wall. But in this case, I just use a bit of packing paper, which came with the light gels that I got earlier. So let me just flick that over. You see, that's now a lot softer compared to last time. Yeah, that's nice and soft. That harsh, that soft. Now, we need a third light, which is called the backlight, which, as its name entails, is a light from behind. Now, you don't necessarily need this. This is good generally for most stuff, but a third one just adds just a nice little highlight from the rear. So before, after, just makes it more it just lifts it out of the image. You know, that just sort of there, and that lifts up. Now with that third light, I've actually got a fourth effect of a fourth light, which is actually a spotlight on the background, just adding in this extra colour. You see, without it, we don't get that bluish fill in there. So that's my final lighting setup. Talking about camera settings, one thing is very important: you have to set everything to manual, because if it's auto adjusting between frames, what you're going to end up with is a load and load of different changes. Sort of like some frames will be brighter, some ones will be lower. Another thing which I feel I should mention is f-stops on cameras. Digital still cameras can have very, very high f-stops, and if you can, always go for the highest f-stop you can. This does mean with the same amount of light on the subject, you do need a longer exposure. But what happens is if I zoom in here a little bit, you'll notice that the background compared to the foreground image is blurred, and even between points, so like this foot is out of focus whereas the face is in focus. It's a good way of creating a point of where to look, but if you want an ultra sharp image, like if you're keying this, you want to be able to lift this off pretty easy. And since I set up my camera for doing some animation, here's the random animation that I did earlier. Now with that shows a couple of problems. Let me just take it back to start. First problems is with any animation, lock everything down. You just see that slight camera movement there. If I play that back, you see that little knock there. Even though I was using a shutter release, I still got a little knock, possibly when I hit it. And the second part of the animation, this shows up another problem. Again, there's that problem, you know, sort of like with a low f-stop. Certain parts of the image end up getting out of focus. You know, there's the hand sharp in focus, but the face isn't. You know, you can just see it there. Not very sharp. And not by setting my camera to all manual settings, it will actually read off different colours. You see, the background is quite blue here, but now it's sort of slightly pink, now it's getting more orange. That's because it samples from the centre of the frame what the colour should be. You lose this problem as soon as you go to black and white. That actually looks quite good. That. So you lose that problem. Plus you can bring up the contrast, make it quite noir. Yeah, I like that. So anyway, that is a quick tutorial on 3-point lighting and how to set up still cameras and such for animation. Bye!